With rights comes responsibility. The Gander Mountain Responsibility Pledge campaign is designed to remind firearms owners that if they do have firearms, they need to make sure that they are kept from the access of unauthorized, underaged, or untrained persons. The idea is that if you have a sporting firearm, when it's done being used, when you're back from the range, back from your competition, you need to make sure that you separate that firearm from the ammunition and that you store it somewhere where no one else is likely to have access to it. Of course, that's probably going to be inside of your home, and something like a large firearm safe is a great thing to have if you have a firearms collection and you're storing firearms that you're not going to need instantly in a defensive situation. The same thing can be said for hunting firearms. If you have a firearm that you get ready for hunting season, you shoot every once in a while, and then you take out into the field with you, again, long-term storage, a locking cabinet or a locking secure safe is a great option. When it comes to defensive firearms that you're actually going to stage for use on a moment's notice in a surprise worst-case scenario, that's really when I think storage of a firearm becomes much more complex. You need to understand that we're always balancing that restriction from unauthorized access against the convenience and efficiency of access when you need the firearm. And that's why we recommend things like a quick access safe, something that has a simple biometric scanner or very large buttons that are easy to find in the dark and easy to use in a panic. You wouldn't want to have to turn a complex combination lock like you used to have at your high school book locker when you need a firearm in a worst case scenario. You don't want to have to run to a drawer and find a small key and then open a padlock to get to your defensive firearm. Of course, that leaves a lot of people with simply leaving firearms out in the open, or maybe hiding a firearm but not really securing it. Now, it is fair to say that if you have a secure home, if you live alone, if you completely control access of people in the environment, that hiding is a form of security. If someone doesn't know that there's a firearm in the area, then it is, in a way, secure from their access. But if you do have other people in your environment, obviously family members, roommates, and let's face it, ultimately we all have other people in the environment. Maybe someone's coming over to work on some appliances. Maybe the delivery guy is coming in to bring in a heavy box. When that person enters your home, if your firearms aren't truly secured in some way, that's the first step to negligence, that's the first step to misuse, that's the first step to a tragic accident. Maybe you have family members that you trust with access to firearms, but they have other friends over, they let people into the house when you're not there to directly supervise what's going on. Inside the home, having firearms secured in some way is part of your responsibility. Outside the home, you also have that same responsibility. Maybe you have a situation where you have a firearm that can't be taken into a federal building or a bank or a school, but you can secure it in your vehicle while you're going to be away from it. Inside of a vehicle, securing a firearm is also sometimes a little bit tricky. You can't simply hide it and hope that no one's going to gain access to your car. Naturally, you lock your car, you roll the windows up, but even still, we know that people do have their vehicles broken into, we know that people do have their vehicles stolen from time to time. If you have a firearm in there, what really is just an inconvenience and something that's going to cause you to file an insurance claim could again become a tragic, tragic accident, or really tragic negligence on your part by allowing that person easy access to a firearm that you simply stuck under your seat or left in the glove box. If you're in your car and you have a firearm that's accessible for defense, that's a completely different situation from being outside of your vehicle. When you're away from your vehicle, you're going to want to have some type of lockbox, some type of secure storage that not only secures access to the firearm, but also secures the box itself to the vehicle. And one of the things that I recommend is at least some type of security cable. So if you're not going to bolt a lockable box onto the floor of your vehicle or into the trunk space, you can use a cable to secure it to some other part of the vehicle that's going to be very, very difficult to dislodge. For example, the seats are always very solidly mounted to the body of the car, and if you run a security cable through your lockbox and through one of the legs of the car seats, you can say that you have definitely taken some appropriate steps to secure that item to the actual car itself and secure your gun inside of it. Inside of your office setting, you might also have something like a lockbox that you move with you. Maybe you go into the office carrying a firearm, but you don't wear your gun when you're actually at work. Maybe you go into the office and you leave the office carrying a firearm, but you don't actually carry the firearm on your body during the day. Again, you don't want to take that firearm and just stick it in a drawer. putting it in some type of lockbox, securing that lockbox to something solid, either bolting it to furniture or securing it with a cable lock, will allow you to know that you've done what you need to do to meet your responsibility. Take the responsibility pledge, but make sure that you're taking it seriously, not only when the firearm is in your home, but also when it's in your vehicle or in the workplace. Securing the firearm is part of being a responsible firearms owner.